Hello, this is Tricked Out Movies and Cubing. I'm doing something different today. Today, I'm gonna start a ranking and rating of different movies from worst to best in the series, and of just worst to best overall. But for the most part, I'll just be ranking each individual movie and series about and with how good they are. They'll have a number that's basically about like how many points it gets. It's kind of complicated. It's like points per minute or something, but like it's kind of complicated. Um, it's basically impossible to explain unless you already have it in your head what it is. And this is going to be from my own show, Stupid Stories. It's going to be all the episodes ranked worst to best and rated, of course. So first, I'll start with just rating the overall show, Stupid Stories. It gets a score of 3.362. And I don't really know what that means, considering that I haven't compared it to any movies that I know are good. But as far as I know, that probably means it's a bad movie, a bad show, and I'm guessing it is, considering that I just know Stupid Stories is a bad show. It's fun, it's watchable, it's enjoyable. However, it's still very bad. There's no effects. The effects I do are, other than disappearing images Neku, it's overall rather bad effects. It's childish. It's off. Sometimes it's funny. Sometimes it's not as funny as it tries to be. It's very confusing, especially nightmares. Trying to understand that would be a nightmare. And so yeah, it's fun. I like it. But it's definitely not. It gets a positive number of points, but it's still definitely not a good show. So now that we've talked about the overall show, now let's talk about each individual episode, ranked worst to best. Number 5, Nightmares. Nightmares is. Okay, so Nightmares had my second favorite scene in all of Stupid Stories, and that's Nike's Nightmare. It's done well. Nike getting stabbed looks pretty good. Wendy getting thrown against the wood looks good. And Andrew getting his head chopped off looks kind of good. It's kind of fun. I don't know if it's my second favorite scene at all, but I like it. But the only problem is and it's a cool story idea. I like the idea of he makes this machine to make nightmares come true, to make dreams come true. But then they all have nightmares, and nightmares come true. The thing is, the nightmares come true for about 10 seconds, and then Andrew turns the nightmares off by hitting a piece of wood, and it's all super confusing, and no one can tell what's going on. 3/8 of the 4.5 minutes that make up the show is them playing a game of horse that lasts longer than any important sections of the nightmares themselves, and the nightmares coming to reality. The game of horse was meant to just be an introduction to start the episode off, but ended up being like almost half the episode, and it was kind of cool. Like, I liked seeing the shots and stuff; they were cool. But it isn't a trick shot video. If I wanted to see cool shots, I have a lot of trick shot videos that I could watch. When I watch these Stupid Stories, I'm supposed to be watching Stupid Stories, not trick shots. So while the game of horse could have worked if it was a few seconds long, and it was the introduction, it was way too long and ended up being almost half the story, half the show. So that's why Stupid Stories Episode 2 Nightmares, I'm not going to say the whole name every time, I know why I did that, is not very good. The score is 2.6. Number 4, Arrested. So Arrested is Nike's favorite one, and I can understand why. I like the story. Well, I think I like some just Nike more, but yeah, I like the story. It's of Andrew getting arrested and have to get him back. It's fun. It has a potential to be one of the best ones. And But when I think about it, I realize that Nightmare is really the only one that I really don't like very much. Like, I like it, but I don't like it that much. Nightmare was funny in some parts also, though. But the thing with Arrested is, like, first of all, the introduction was pretty boring. And second, okay, so interesting, but just like, okay, first of all, the gun scene, it was kind of cool, and the henchman I played, I liked the part with him, but otherwise, it was just, him shooting them down would have been good, and it did get us some points, but also lost points because when we went to the shots of within the blood in their stomachs, that was kind of unnecessary. There was just, I think it was just seemed to be just us trying to make it edgier than it was going to be originally, and really seemed kind of dumb. And the one that Dwight played looked ugly with his stomach lying there with the blood in his belly button. It just looked ugly, and then it was kind of messy toward the end. And then what was funny, it doesn't make any sense that Andrew get out of jail due to having a get out of jail for free card. Like, it seems like we're trying to, like, in this one we're trying to make it more of a serious show, but they're still putting stuff like that was so ridiculous it wouldn't have worked in the first episode. So overall, it was an interesting story. There was some good parts in it, but just overall, it was kind of... Okay, so the next... So number 3, Chronicles of Narnia, The Magician's Nephew. Now, if you watch this, you might be kind of surprised just as this alone the list. I thought for a while this was my favorite, but then I looked at it looked more in detail with the points and stuff, and I realized it is definitely not. It has the best scene of them all. The fight scene is a great scene, the best stupid story scene, and it has a good story. I like the story. It's interesting, it's different, and it's definitely the best made. It has the clearest overall story. It's easy to understand what's going on, except for the end where it lost some scenes, so they somehow got home without finding the Rubik's Cube. And there's some funny parts.
You can't fix what's broken. You just replace it with something new. That's why you have a little brother.
But the reason it's so low in the list, the reason it's in the middle of the list, despite having the best parts, is the fact that is because when it's not in the best parts, it's pretty boring. Like, the introduction is boring. There's some interesting stuff in it, like, I like the place, the charm, but, and then they can get hit in the head with the hammer, but really, it wasn't really a story with a fight scene in it. It was a fight scene with a story wrapped around it. The story was interesting, but portrayed in a rather boring way. So that's why, despite having some of the best parts and being the best made, it still has to be in the middle. I forgot to tell the scores. Arrested scored 2.75, and Mrs. Napper scored 2.78, so I barely like Mrs. Napper more than Arrested. Okay, so I just took my scores immediately, so I don't forget. Okay, Time Bomb, Episode 3, Number 2. This one scored a 3.5. This one used to be my favorite, and it's a pretty good one. It's one of the better, obviously it's the second best Stupid Stories episode, and I like the story. It feels a lot longer than it is because it's good. It's interesting, and we can really see that Joy's starting to get really more evil here, but trying to blow up Nike's bedroom. Because in the first one, she's been kind of a joke more. Like, she was definitely the villain, but she was more of a joke. She starts really getting more evil here. And of course, Super Stories is supposed to be a joke, but it's supposed to be a comedy. No, it's not supposed to be really stupid and a joke, but it's supposed to be funny. And Time Bomb is funny. It has funny parts like...
5 minutes, so I'm just gonna eat.
And then, of course, it has the classic slapstick comedy of... But, yeah, so it's one of my favorite, but the main reason it sets it back is this has some of the cheesiest acting of all the Stupid Stories episodes. Like Vicky's...
It's a time bomb!
Or both of Zinnia's lines. It's the cheesiest one. So that might be why it goes not top place, or a little lower, probably would be like at least 4 or something if it weren't for those cheesy lines. So of course, number 1, Joy kidnaps Mary. So I'm not surprised this one ended up being the top. I was surprised at first, but then you think about it, like, it's just the same reason why sequels often aren't as good as originals in movies. It's the same thing with like this, because it wasn't really meant to be a show. We were originally just meant to make Miriam got an idea for a show, and we did that. We made the show, and it was good. It was, because the reason the other ones weren't as good is because we didn't make the other ones because we had a good idea for a show. We made the other ones because we wanted to make a continuation of it. We made this one because we had a good idea for a show. It was interesting. It was funny. This one was sprinkled. This one was probably the least serious one, but that works because Two Stories isn't supposed to be serious. It's supposed to be silly. Supposed to be good silly, but still supposed to be silly. The other ones I like the seriousness in other ones, but this one, it's sprinkled throughout the whole thing with silliness. There's no boring parts in it. There wasn't really any boring parts in Time Bomb, but there's totally no boring parts in this. It's fun from beginning to end. It has a score of 5. It's way better than the other ones, and of course I like the Joy getting hit in the head with the baseball bat. It doesn't have as many great parts as some other ones. If you rank the movies off of their best part in them, this one would rank probably near the bottom. But off the overall show episode 1, Joy Kidnaps Mary is definitely the best episode. So now we have our rankings. Stupid Stories ranks 3.362. And at number 5, we have Nightmares, 2.6. Number 4 is Arrested, 2.75. Number 3 is Chronicles of Narnia, The Magician's Neckpoo, at 2.78. Number 2 is Time Bomb at 3.5. Number 1 is Joy Kidnaps Mary at 5. So, in the comments, write in the comments, say if you have a different opinion than mine, if you like one more than a different one, if you like them for different reasons. And bye.